So in this video, I wanted to touch on one of the big issues that executives and leaders have, and that is an issue of time management, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stretched that there is a lot of things going on in my life and I am trying to play catch up with it. So, like anything else, it requires a skill that we learn over time. So, the first point is that you are not alone. And the second point is that it's a skill that you can easily learn. If you feel that some people seem to have it all together and they hardly seem to be running around, catching up with time, and some others are always feeling overwhelmed and there's so much to do and they hardly get to do what they really want to do, this is not uncommon. So let's start with a few basics about this. Number one, time management is a skill. So there is no use beating ourselves up, but simply saying it's a skill that I should learn. Now, with like any skill, practice, practice, and practice makes you become a habitual person in terms of creating that skill. So when we look at the practice part, there are really three buckets in the practice. The first bucket is what we call a thought download or a task download, or writing all your tasks in one place. Now, this in itself is a skill. It's not completely easy to do it, and it may take you 2-3 practice runs to be able to do that. So once you do the thought download or the task download, you can put on paper every single task you need to do for a week, for a day, and even for a month, and even for a year. But you don't need to break the tasks. The longer the time frame it is, the more big the task will be. Whereas the more shorter time frame, the more detailed the task is going to be. Usually, the best way to look at it is to start with your big tasks, maybe for the year, then break it down to your quarter tasks, and then your monthly tasks, and then your weekly tasks, and then your daily tasks. So once you break those big tasks into these big buckets and you start adding up those tasks in there, you can see what tasks do you have for the month, what tasks do you have for the quarter, and what tasks do you have for the year. So that's step one, and which is creating the task. Now, further than that, it's to be able to organize the task. So once you start organizing the tasks and you start saying, okay, I've got all these tasks to be done, how do I now get it all together in one place? Now, you could have tools for that. Like, you have a list of tasks that are there. There are several tools out there that help in organizing your tasks. But related to that tool is a very, very important tool, and that's your calendar. So once you put the task in your calendar and you know that this is what you're supposed to do at that point in time, that's what you'll basically achieve in terms of the calendar. However, now the phase 3, which is the toughest phase really. But bear in mind, if you've already done phase 1 and phase 2, you're very, very far ahead. Now comes one of the tough tasks, which is sticking to your calendar. And what happens? Why do you not stick to your calendar? And that's where I'll discuss more about how emotions and what you consider as priority comes into play. So let's stop for now and talk a little bit about first the task download. And I've explained how the task download happens, which is your yearly goals, your quarterly goals, your monthly goals, and then your weekly goals. And then to achieve those goals, what tasks do you have to put in place? And then the second phase, which is list all those tasks and then start putting it in your calendar. So, and then we're going to discuss how to stick to that calendar.